Well, load shedding placing a strain on infrastructure in Nelson Mandela Bay. The blackouts causing electrical problems in some parts of the metro. There's also been reports of vandalism and cable theft. Let's speak now to our reporter who's on the ground there, Siphosethu. Booi in Gqeberha. Siphosethu, you have been tracking the city up and about, looking at the problems that come as a result of load shedding. I can tell you here in Johannesburg that at least in the area where I stay, we have had not only load shedding but water problems that we understand could come or could have been precipitated by that load shedding. And these are just some of the problems that come with these intermittent power supply issues.
And you're correct, Booi, and I must make mention also of the fact that public servants in Nelson Mandela Bay have been victims of crime. I mean, the paramedics also filed a couple of reports with their members being robbed in certain areas here in Nelson Mandela Bay, as well as social workers have also filed a couple of reports, about 18 of them, saying they don't feel safe when it comes to certain areas as far as the safety reasons and matters are concerned in the western suburbs of Nelson Mandela Bay. New Brighton, Mission Vale, just to name a few. Earlier on today, we were at Mission Vale and we reported live at the intersection between Mission Vale as well as Zwide, where there's a majority of cases of accidents that have been reported in that particular road alone due to the cable theft and vandalism that happens in and around the city of Nelson Mandela Bay, including the workers, the artisans of the electricity and energy department. But joining me now, Booi, is of course the MMC for electricity and energy, Mr. Lance Gqeberha. Mr. Gqeberha, you're a newly elected MMC for this particular department. What are your plans with regards to making sure that service delivery gets to the people of Nelson Mandela Bay, but also making sure that the workers of the municipality are also kept safe?
Sethu, thanks for having me, and thanks for speaking to your viewers. It is a problem. Vandalism of our infrastructure is a problem in the city. Our workers, our employees are also being threatened. Some of them have been hurt, and we've seen some of them have been robbed. And it's difficult for them to go into the community to go and do their work. And at the end of the day, it affects service delivery. So my plan to deal with that is very simple. We need to get our safety and security department on board. And we need to make sure that our metro police are going in with our employees, especially our engineers, when they go and deal with a service delivery complaint. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to work with the South African Police Services as well, because we need their buy-in as well. And we're also going to work with our neighborhood watchers, because we need to have our communities also involved so that our communities can know what's going on. We cannot allow for thugs and criminals to do just as they please. Those days are gone. That's why we're going to set up a coordination with our COO's office, who's going to coordinate the whole process between electricity and energy, safety and security, and those departments that is involved, so that we can make sure that our workers are safe, the contractors are safe, because we must remember some of the work is done by contractors, and the contractors are afraid to go in because they get robbed of their equipment. So we have to put those mechanisms in place to ensure that our employees and our contractors, those who are doing work for us, are safe. So those are the plans going forward.
Mr. Gqeberha, earlier on in the morning, I spoke to one of the residents from Mission Vale. They had an electrical fault that happened during the weekend that resulted to the municipal workers having to leave the area, not fully done as far as the issue of making sure that energy supply is back to that particular area in Mission Vale this morning. They complained also about the issue of load shedding as far as making sure that they get ready, they get the kids ready rather to get to school and so forth and so on. The issue of response as far as your department is concerned, the electricity department, how imminent or quick can it be to make sure that the residents are also aware that the problem is not only load shedding, but the problem is from the municipal side. So how do you think you'll be able to mitigate, or rather break the barrier between residents and, of course, the municipality as far as communication is concerned, as far as responding to them and letting them know that the issue is noted and it will be attended to?
We have a call center, and that's important because we have centralized our complaints, and we must have a quicker turnaround time to address with these complaints. Communication is critical, and sometimes I think we are not communicating effectively to a communication department that is able to dismantle that information on social media, etc. So we have to speed up with that. We have a turnaround time plan that we're working on. Remember, we were just appointed last week. I've just settled in today in my office. But we are working on a turnaround time strategy, which we will be communicating to the residents this week still. And one of that is communication. And it is service delivery, quick turnaround times on service delivery, in line with our service delivery charter. Because we have to address service delivery very quick, and we want to do that, and we want to make sure that our residents are not waiting, especially with electricity. Because once there's interruption of electricity, it affects a lot of people, especially businesses. And our businesses can't go under this amount of pressure now, because our businesses creates the job, they contribute to the economy. So we will have to turn around and make sure that somehow we get to services quicker.
There's also the issue of the robots just between Mission Vale that separates Mission Vale as well as Zwide around that area in Mission Vale that have not been working for close to 2 years. Not only those ones, but others as well, as you go beyond KwaMaqaki and Dwesi in those areas. Maybe what would be the plan as far as the cable theft and the vandalism that happens in those areas is concerned? Could we see them working again, or should there be maybe a traffic cops that can be there in the early hours, making sure that they direct the cars in times of heavy traffic?
There is also a concern, and I've noticed it even today when I was in the traffic. We will have to look at innovative ideas how we can fix that. Yes, criminals will have to take them head on, and we will be monitoring those traffic intersections, so our robots specifically. But what I'm looking at, and I'm going to pass this idea with the directorate, is looking at using renewable energy to power up our robots, So even during load shedding, it will still be on. And I think that is effective for us. So we'll have to make sure with the technology that we currently have to make sure that our robots are working, because it can be a frustration for our residents to sit into a traffic the whole day when there's not even maybe a traffic officer on duty to direct the traffic. So we will have to deal with that. But listen, we are looking at curtailing the scrap metal industry, and that means people that is stealing copper cables and selling it at scrap metal, scrap yards. That we will stop very soon. We will be monitoring that, and we will be arresting people. So that will be one of something that will be one of the past in our city. But I think we will be making use of renewable energy just to power up our robots, to make sure that there's a clean flow of traffic happening in the city.
Thank you very much. That was, of course, Mr. Lance Florban, the newly elected MEC for electricity and energy, here in the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality.
Siphosethu, Booi, thank you very much for that comprehensive update.